So you can see it. Okay, so the session intent is being able to develop content marketing ideas to use in your campaign, understand repurposing of content, and how to apply your brand to your content marketing campaign to ensure consistency. So the main things here is basically idea generation. Now, I can remember, I recall there's a question in Moodle about content creation and idea generation. When you come across that, look on the guide that I got for you to make things clear. It says in brackets evidence. Every time it says evidence, give evidence. Um, I know, Tony, you've had some issues with uploading. I've reached out to a colleague of mine. She's looking into that. So just bear with me on that. But I am marking your work as well. But the bits that you have to provide evidence. If you have struggle with uploading it, just let me know. Okay. Now, the content marketing ideas, you've got to think about mood boards, you've got to think about giving evidence of how those ideas evolved, where they came from in the first place. Kind of talking about you're not using copyright, this kind of copyright content you've generated yourself, that kind of thing, evidence, right? So that's kind of recalling that question. The repurposing content, I've talked about this many times, but some of you might not have heard me talk about it. So I'm going to talk about what repurposing content is and how that saves you time and how that works for you. I've also got a good slide deck that I got from Gary Vaynerchuk a while ago, and I'll put that into the chat so you can use that. That's a very good piece of value there. And then understanding how to apply your brand to the content marketing campaign. So obviously your brand needs to be consistent, your logo, your colors, your according to your brand guidelines. Now when you start creating content, how do you kind of keep that consistency, okay, within the marketing campaign? So going thinking back to previous sessions and stuff like that, we're just gonna we have to understand that this is about content creation, and there are other sessions that will talk about content creation. You just have to kind of connect it all together, okay? So write notes. Maybe if you're writing on pen and paper, just kind of put content creation, and every time you come across it, just kind of put notes under that heading. So it's something that we're always going to touch. So you're going to explore how to turn goals and audience needs into content concepts that make sense for real business. Okay. So you've planned your goal for your campaign, or you're thinking about your audience and what their needs are, what their pain points are. Now, your content has to fit with that. Okay. So if your content goes in a different direction, obviously you're not going to meet your goal. If you're not kind of serving the purpose, or serving your target audience, then your content's not going to be interesting for them and they're not going to click. Or somebody else might, but they're not relevant. They're not the people you're targeting. Okay. So we have to think about the content. Even like, because the reason I'm creating content right now is because one, you guys are motivating me to get myself creating content as well, because it doesn't make sense if I'm not a content creator and I'm teaching you. So I've done it before. Like I said, I've had burnout. You can go through burnout, and there's things you go through and then you come back stronger. Okay, so I always say this: if you hit rock bottom, you got to bounce back, and you'll be stronger for it. Okay, the mistakes you make, the time, money you lost, or the whatever struggle you went through, if you can get back onto it, it'll be a lot better, because you're learning from the mistakes you've made, the experience you got. You've got to see it positively. Okay, so in this session, we'll move from understanding content marketing to actively creating campaign ready ideas. So we're really focusing on the ideas here. So what makes a content idea strong? Okay, we've got to make it audience focused. It's not about what we want to create and what we think will resonate with the audience. It's about what the audience wants. Okay, I mean, we can think about it, we can make assumptions, but what does the data tell us? What does our research tell us? Okay, so I've made quite a few videos this week and last week And I can tell you that I started creating content, experimenting with it, rough around the edges content. It didn't work for me. Okay. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does. And again, if you're switching cultures and if you're switching audience, then it's going to be different expectations. So now I'm sticking with the same type of kind of the content that you saw on my TikTok, like, me in front of the camera, a bit looking a bit professional, clean. That's the same kind of content I'm creating on the other platform as well. Because I tried the rough and ready, just kind of FaceTime type of content. It didn't work. And I think it's about authority. Okay. So sometimes if you're trying to get authority, you have to have your own style and you have to build that style in, and you can test it out. And if it doesn't work, you stick to what works. And if your style isn't working, and you suddenly adapt to another one, and it is working, then that's great. But it's all about having a strong idea. Okay, so content idea must be more than interesting thought. It must be something that supports your purpose and it meets your audience's needs and it fits within your brand voice. So that what I was just talking about is about your brand voice. So I started looking at other content creators who are very similar to me, in that kind of community. And there was, because the reason I'm going down that route of creating content in Bengali is because I know I have that upper hand. Okay. My upper hand is that I have a lot of knowledge in tech, I have a lot of knowledge in social media. I might not have created much now, but I've done it in the past. So it's about that upper hand, right? And then it's about the way I'm using that. Now, there's a few people who are basically doing well. One of them is doing well because he's a financial advisor. One of them is doing well because he is actually um, into social media. But I think they have their own kind of niche as well. So I'm trying to carve my niche. So you got to do the same. You have to go narrow into a big industry, but narrow down into a small niche, and then carve your little place in that niche. Okay. Look at your competitors, see what they're talking about, look at them and understand their audience's needs, who are reacting, even be cheeky and start following them so they follow you back, but build your own little tribe, and then that tribe will grow because they will share. Okay. And that all is going to happen from your content. Majority of that is going to happen from what you create, not your little strategies of following people, and all of that is a must, but it's about your audience. Okay, so your audience needs to actually find it valuable. Okay, so let's go through each of these. So first one is audience focused. So content must speak to the right person at the right time, solving their needs or sparking their interest. Okay, so the right person at the right time. So you got to find the right time to create your content so it's in front of them. So if they're in a different, like for example, I'm gonna always talk about my example, okay, because it's gonna make it easier for you to understand. So I've been creating content around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the evening. The reason for that is in the UK, that's the time everybody's back from work and they chilled out, they relaxed, they fed the kids, and now they're on TikTok, right? That's the time I'm creating it. The same time is I'm kind of my wife usually talks to her mom and her sisters in Bangladesh at that time as well because they're awake, but it's quite late. Okay. So I'm trying to find a time when it's not too late in Bangladesh and at the same time, it's not too late here. So it's like that perfect time for both countries. Okay. In the same way, you got to find the right time for your audience. Okay. For me, it's quite easy because I'm thinking of the language. Okay. Language speakers in the UK, that small community in Birmingham, Manchester, parts of East London, that, I'm even referencing those locations as well in some of the content because you're trying to use those keywords in your content and the algorithm picks it up. And then the elections are happening in Bangladesh right now. And it's a massive historic moment because they haven't had many free elections where the Gen Zs are now coming and thinking we want change. It's a hot topic and a lot of people are trying to make content around that because they know people are looking for it. So what you got to do is you got to find the right time. Okay, what is the right topic at the right time? And these Like if I talked about the election today, I don't want to get into politics, but I could just think about something positive to say, right? Now, that is based on time. Okay, after today, tomorrow, we will find out who won in that country. Plus, because it's time orientated. It's great for a story on TikTok. I'm just talking about TikTok for now, but you have to kind of think about other platforms as well. Okay. Now, if you put it on a story, then it's going to be there for 24 hours and it's going to disappear. So if it's time sensitive, you've got to think like that. So this is what I'm talking about when it's audience focus. You're thinking about the audience. You're thinking about where they are, which country are they asleep? Are they awake? Which topics are they interested in? When would they be interested? What are their pain points? All of this stuff. And that's going to come through your research. Okay. And that's going to make your content strong. The next one is purpose driven. Every idea needs a clear role in the campaign. So remember, we're talking about campaigns, okay? Now, when we talk about a campaign, think about a political campaign, like an election. Like if somebody wants to go into power, they have a campaign. What is a campaign? If you're struggling to understand what a campaign is, just look at the dictionary, figure out what a campaign is. It's a whole strategy to get somewhere to meet your goal, and that whole campaign is going to have lots of things. It's going to have social media. You're going to have to go and interview people. You're going to have to talk to people. It will be word of mouth. It will be a lot of advertising, lots of things. So your campaign, obviously, because we're talking about social media, this is a social media campaign. So you're doing things to do with social media. So within that, there's a purpose, there's a goal. So every idea needs a clear role in the campaign. And I've seen your work with your campaign planning. I think the majority of you understand what a campaign is. Some of you have to define your goal more. Okay. Your goal can't be just like, oh, I want to get my word out there. Don't be lazy about it, because if your content plan, your campaign planning is really, really solid and you put lots of information in there, it's going to help you. Nobody else is going to help you. It's basically for you to be more clear about your ideas. If you're lazy about the objective, then the whole campaign is going to be a bit confusing. Okay. So clear idea, be very focused on the role of the campaign. Think about awareness. Is it engagement? Is it conversion? Or is it retention? What am I trying to achieve here? Am I trying to get attention? Am I me right now with my content in Bengali? I'm trying to get attention because they don't know me. There's no relationship there. Yes, I speak their language, but I learned that language through having to speak that language to my parents. We had a rule at home. We speak Bengali at home, you speak English outside. And because of that, I can speak fluently. I also spent 4 years in Bangladesh as a teenager, and I got an O level there. So not a lot of, well, I'm not that young now. So even my generation, that was born in the UK, that a lot of them can't speak Bengali and in that dialect. Clearly, they speak broken. It sounds a bit English. It sounds a bit Bengali, and and the new generation, like my kids, they understand it, they can't speak it. So there's problems there, right? And these are the problems you've got to understand. What can I have the upper hand on? I have the upper hand that I speak it very fluently. Some people won't be able to tell the difference. Like, is this guy British? Is he born in the UK? Until I speak English, okay? And then I can connect with two different audiences. So these are the things you've got to think about. What is your purpose, but also what value are you giving to your audience? So valuable, make it valuable. The thing is, I've got all this knowledge I can convert into another language, and that is my value. So you got to find your value. How do you become unique for your audience? And all of you got it. I mean, I can go through every single one of you and find a unique angle that you can take. I can do it, but obviously we ain't got time. But when I am on a one-to-one call with some of you, I do give you ideas. I did it with Holly yesterday, and you have to think, right? If somebody's not telling you, you have to think. You have to figure that out. So people engage with content that teaches, that entertains, solves problems, or inspires. You got to do that, okay? One of them. If you're an entertainer, do that. If you're good at education, do that. Whatever works for you. That part, don't force yourself. It's like, oh, my audience want entertainment. I have to be an entertainer now. No, you don't, okay? You do what you do best, but do it for the time and they want that type of content. Okay. For me, I'm an educator. I'm gonna keep on educating. I'm not gonna start, dancing or doing anything that I'm not uncomfortable with. That I will still find people who are looking for education. So be realistic. Okay. So realistic, meaning ideas must match your skills. This is what I was talking about: resources, time, and tools. Okay. If it's not realistic for you, then don't bother. It's not, if you're trying to travel, I'm going to do a travel blog, but you can't get out your town, then you're going to have to focus on your town, right? It becomes difficult. So be realistic about what you have as an opportunity. Think around you, like think sometimes it's hard to see what you've got an advantage of. I had to think a lot to think, hang on a minute, I can speak another language. Let me do that. So you have to think, what makes you unique? What unique position are you in right now? Forget tomorrow, right now. You can get to tomorrow. You can improve your situation later, but right now, what have I got in front of me? What have I got in my disposal that I can use? Resources, time, tools, talent, skills, etc. Zara, you okay?
Yeah, what if you have like different like several different interests and you like them all and you feel passionate about all of them? Like would you
Mm.
divide them up into different pages? So one page for this interest and maybe one page for another.
I wouldn't divide them up into pages or anything like that. I'll divide them up in my mind. Okay. So this is what we're talking about very soon is about content pillars. We're gonna work on that, Zara. So bear with us and it'll make sense to you. Okay. It's about the subjects, okay, and the content you create. So me, I'm talking about social media right now in English and Bengali, both channels, right? Soon I'm kind of gonna go towards blockchain, and that is where I have a lot of knowledge and I can talk about. But I need that kind of build up, and then I'm gonna talk about that, and then I'm gonna talk about AI, which I have knowledge, but I don't have a lot of knowledge. I'm still learning a lot of things, but it's my journey, and I'll teach at the same. So there's three content pillars there that interest people that are kind of related to each other so it can be on the same channel, right? If you find that it's totally different, like a different industry, then you may have to create another channel. Like for me, I've created two different channels because it's a two different brands. I'm creating an academy in one language and I'm trying to build an academy in another. It's totally different. So you have to think, is it does it blend in the same brand? If it does, then keep it on the same channel. But the content itself doesn't have you can cluster it so that the algorithms understand that okay, this guy's talking about social media. Let me throw out this content to people who are interested in social media. If you keep on changing the content topic, it'll get confused. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a cluster of content around social media. Then I'll create a cluster of content around blockchain, and I'll then once the algorithms figure out, okay, he talks about social, he talks about blockchain, talks about it. Afterwards, I can mix it up. First, you've got to train the algorithm. It's like training somebody you can't see. Like I can train you guys and you can talk to me, but imagine training the algorithms, you've got no reaction. It's like some of you with your cameras turned off, with your mics turned off, you'd never talk to me. I'm still training you, aren't I? So I can't just ignore you or take you out the Zoom chat because you're not communicating. I still have to train you. In the same way, the algorithms are there. You can't see it. You got to train it, okay, with your content so it knows who to give it to. Sylvia, you okay?
Yes, I don't know how to unraise my hand, but I have a question regarding, well, I have two questions. One, how can I book one-to-one with you? Because I think that would be very, very useful for me. And
Okay.
two, is regarding you doing the content into different languages, because I could do it because I speak Polish and English.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of my content I only create in English, but I could easily do that
Yeah.
Polish and maybe create a different channel to attract a wider audience. But
Mm-hmm.
then do you produce the same content, but you just speak different languages? Or how do you, or is it different? I
It
don't
is
know
different
that.
because the culture is different. The pain points are slightly different, and you got to make it relatable. Okay, so
Uh,
one thing I found is like Bengalis love little, little jokes, and they have a culture of kind of funny things they say within the culture that is like hilarious to people like myself who were born in the UK. Like, but it's something we hear all the time in the house, and it's common with every single household. So it's like it becomes a funny thing, and some content creators are creating content with that funny hook and then going into something serious. So I'm considering thinking, how do I get these people interested first? That, how do I hook them in? So it can't be exactly the same. You've got to think about your culture, the Polish culture. Is there something you can get them to relate to? And then you hook them in and then you talk in Polish. Do you get me? It's like you got to be a bit creative, okay? It's not going to be exactly the same. You can't just script it exactly the same, but it can be the same topic. But you're reaching to a different type of people, different mindset. You got to, and you're the best person to understand that because obviously you have that knowledge. Okay, Marina, make it quick, please, because
Just
obviously we're
quickly,
gonna.
yeah, I just wanted to ask you, obviously I speak English, Italian and
Mhm.
Croatian, so I wanted to know if I'm when I'm posting content, would you suggest I can write it in these two different languages as well
Uh,
when I'm writing my captions?
I would use like keywords, like drop a
Yeah. Oh, so
keyword
you
in,
wouldn't write the whole thing
not the
in.
whole thing, no. But
Okay, all right.
English is an international language, so you're more
Exactly,
likely
yeah.
getting people to understand English, right? And the
Yeah,
algorithms also. But use those like one or two words that are like
yeah.
in a different language, the
Italian and
Italian.
Croatian. Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And if you're speaking two, three different languages, you might just want to be bilingual in one brand. It'll be a lot easier. Okay.
And how can I book one-to-one with you? Is it
Uh,
possible?
yeah, so there's a one-to-one session, a support session every week. I think you can book it through your booking form. You can do that. But if there's something that you want to, you can request it through email, and in that way, if I have time to kind of put an hour in or something during the week, I'll let you know and we'll book a Zoom call, okay? But what I can't have you have happening is like all 60 of you want a one-to-one. Obviously there's only one of me, but take advantage of that support call. Like even if five or six of you jump on, we can talk about different things, okay?
And where can I find this support call?
Should be on your booking form. And we're
Okay.
working on the fact that we don't see that side of things, and it makes it a bit hard for us as trainers. So we're working on that, but it should be on your booking form where you book. If it's not, remind me at the end, and I'll let you know when the next session is. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
It's the same link. You just come onto the session. Right. So let's carry on, guys. No more questions for now. Okay? Because we'll never get past the second slide. Right. So where were we? Okay, so valuable to the viewer. Yep. So valuable, make it valuable to the viewer, obviously. Realistic to produce, I've talked about. Suitable for multiple platforms. Now, that one, you have to understand that sometimes you're gonna have to repurpose the content, and I'll talk about how to do that. You can't just bang it on different platforms, it's not gonna work, okay? So you need to kind of look at a few things, and we'll talk about that later. So linking ideas to the campaign goal. So this may be the brand awareness. It might be driving traffic. Whatever your goal is, you have to link your ideas to that. So when you're doing a mind map or something, just think about, okay, I'm creating this content, and the purpose is brand awareness, right? So you're gonna have to kind of make that connection. So to make content effective, it has to be designed with a specific goal in mind. You must align the content ideas with your objectives of your campaign so that everything you create has a purpose. So identify the main campaign goal, match the ideas to the customer journey stage. What stage are they in when they're watching your content? Like for my content is brand awareness. So they're right at the beginning, at the top of the funnel. And then aligning the message to the desired action. What message do you give, and what action are you getting them to take? Like, don't miss the opportunity of not having a call to action. Even if you're not telling somebody to go and buy something, you're not selling hard on brand awareness, you can still tell them I'd appreciate a follow. Yeah. So ensure each content piece supports the outcome. Okay, so every content, you know where you're going with it. Like me, I know where I'm going with it. My the Bengali channel, at the top in the bio, it has the domain which I've registered. So I've registered the same name. It's called Silet, is Sileti. The language, the dialect of Bengali that I speak is Sileti, right? So it's siletiacademy.com, right? I've registered that, and I've registered Sileti Academy, the handle, on every single platform. Okay, even Lemonade, which I haven't used, but I've registered it there as well. So that's I've taken it. I've taken it. Nobody can take it, right? Then because I'm not using that domain yet, what I've done is I've redirected that siletiacademy.com to my Facebook group, which where I want them to go. Because you want to capture the leads on, well, I want to capture the leads on Instagram, on TikTok, because that's where they spend time. From there, I want to take them somewhere quiet. It's like you've met them at an event and you're trying to take them into a meeting room, all right, or somewhere where they, you've got more attention and authority. And once they're there, it's your group. You've got authority, so you can create content in that group. So I'm trying to take them in there. So I can't force them in there. I've just got that in the link in the bio. If they click on it to wonder what the academy is about, they'll go to the Facebook group. And I've made the Facebook group public so they don't have to approve or anything, just go in. Okay. So that's the idea. So you know what your desired action is, what your purpose is, what your outcome is afterwards. My outcome afterwards, once I've built a massive community, if I'm building like at the rate I am right now, whatever tactic I use, I got about almost 200 followers within 2 3 days. Then if I do that for the whole year, you can imagine, right? So obviously it's going to spiral at some point. It just takes 1 2 pieces of decent content. So my idea is once I get to 100K followers, that's my target. At that point, I release the courses. Now the courses I'm already creating in the background in my own time in the language that in Sility, which is I'm not telling anybody, but I'm creating that, and it's coaching as well, and I can coach them. Now, if I do that and I sell it for $10 a month, okay, $10 subscription a month, and 100,000 people are in my community, and only 1% buy, that's 1,000. Okay, so 100,000, 1% is 1,000. So 1% conversion on that promotion, that would be my campaign. At that time, I'll promote it like crazy. I'll spend money on it, paid ads, whatever, right? I'll do TikTok videos on it, go crazy, right? By then, I've built authority, I've built up my reputation. At that time, when I release it suddenly, it should happen like it happened in 2017 when I released that course. People should subscribe. Now, if they do subscribe, they need to see value on the other end, because if they don't, they'll unsubscribe, they'll cancel their payments. So it's an ongoing value. Then, if it's an ongoing value that you want to give, you need to create that in advance. Otherwise, you'll struggle, right? Because the expectation is there. So you create the whole pipeline of content and then you drip feed it. Okay. That is your automation. Okay. So this is my long-term plan. And if you know your long-term plan, you work backwards to where you are now, and then it's all easy. Okay. So you first have a bigger plan and work backwards. So this is my strategy. So I'm trying to help you with what I know. So first have a bigger goal. Like you're trying to achieve something bigger, yeah? Your vision. It may not be achievable. I don't know if I'm going to get 100,000 subscribers or a million. I don't know. But if other people are doing it with less knowledge about social media than me, but because they're unique in that sense, in they speak in that language, I can top that. Okay, I know I can top most of the people I see there, but it's about. I say that with confidence, but it's about what you're willing to do. Okay, certain people are doing things that I'm not willing to do. Okay, so you have to carve your own tribe. So linking your content to the bigger goal is a big part of your strategy and your understanding. Otherwise, it's a waste time. Avoid random acts
No,
of content. Avoid random acts of content. Every idea should help the customer move one step closer to your campaign goal. Ask yourself, what do I want the audience to think, to feel, or do after engaging with the content? Okay, so the content is not just nice to have, so it looks nice on your platform. There's a purpose behind every single content. Okay, so carrying on, using personas to shape content ideas. Now, obviously, you hopefully you've started thinking about your audience, or you've got like an idea of who your audience is by now. Personas outline age, interests, challenges, behaviors, so your content feels tailored. If you're not clear about who you're speaking to, you're going to speak to different people when you're creating the content. So when I speak with I'm obviously, like, I'm looking at my videos. I created about 5 or 6 videos. In I'm looking at the Bengali channel at the moment, and I can see the authority and the voice getting more confident. This is me judging myself. Even though the authority was there, it's getting more confident. And then I think the confidence is coming from me knowing who I'm talking to. And because who I'm talking to, I'm seeing as a little brother or a little sister or somebody who needs guidance, I'm speaking with that authority. In Bengali, there's 2 ways of saying yes and no. There's one with respect, and one that's general. If you're talking to your parents, if you're talking to your elders, you you add something to the no, you add something to the yes. I don't know if it's in other cultures, but it's like that. So I was talking with respect, which is how I speak anyway. It doesn't matter who it is. If I'm speaking that language, I talk with respect. But you can also speak as if you're speaking to a friend, which is not disrespect, but it lowers the formality. Okay, so I know there's formal and informal in many languages, like Arabic, for example. So you may have to kind of switch from being more formal to more informal if you're speaking, so you have more authority. Okay, so there's things you can do to um, hone in on your audience to make sure that your audience actually respects you. But you got to be very skilled at doing that, because you don't want to lose your audience at the same time by speaking a way that they think, okay, this guy's a bit formal, or if you're going to be formal, then you're going to have to keep being formal. Okay, you can't suddenly drop that. So I'm toying with that at the moment. So it's about who you're speaking to, it's about your message, your tone, and the guidance that you're giving. Okay, so let me read some of this, what I've got here. So personas outline age, interest, challenges, behaviors, so your content feels tailored. Tone. Your content may need to be friendly, professional, humorous, or authoritative. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Depending on the persona expectations. So you got to really understand, and sometimes it's easier if somebody matches your audience persona within your friend circle or your family. Just think about that person. Okay, there's a couple of people who match with my persona that I've got, so it makes it easier for me. So I just pretend I'm talking to that person. Okay, so it's a lot easier. Okay, because otherwise you're going to deviate. You're going to start going different directions. Okay, so let's see, what else have I got? The platform choice. Okay, so audience, if they're younger, then TikTok, more professional, LinkedIn. We've been through this many times, but sometimes it's not the case. Like we can say, oh, younger TikTok and LinkedIn more professional, but the way I see it is, look, these young people are also going to have a LinkedIn profile to get a job. Okay, maybe the you don't see it much now, but in a few years they are going to need to think about their career. Yeah, so you need to have that presence regardless. And but you also got to think of Bob being at work and on being on LinkedIn, and then suddenly going home and being on TikTok. It's the same person, just a different mindset. So when you create the content, talk as if you're creating it on TikTok, talk as if you're talking to Bob after he's come home from work. Don't get too heavy on the content. When you're creating content on LinkedIn, talk as if you're giving value. Well, you should be giving value. So you got to change according to your platform. But what I'm trying to say is, make sure it's the same person that you're talking to. It's your same audience, because they're following you right across the platforms. You can't suddenly, you're not changing your target audience, you're just changing the platform, if that makes sense. Okay, it's the same people, it's just platform content needs to be a bit different. So again, a lot of repetition of what I'm saying in other sessions, but hopefully it makes sense to you by now that it's about making adjustments. Okay. So I got a task here for you. I want you to just think of 5 content ideas for your persona. So whatever persona you have for your business or brand, I want you to think of 5 content ideas. Okay. So this is your chance to spend about 10 minutes just to think of the contents that you're going to create and the reason you're going to create it. Okay. So you don't need perfect ideas. Just write freely because that's when the best ideas come. Just be, whatever's on your mind, just kind of write. And then when you've kind of perfected it a little bit, drop it into the chat. Your ideas of creating content that you think will appeal to your audience. So first, identify what your persona struggles with or wants to achieve. Okay, so their pain point. Next, connect that to the need of your campaign's purpose. There's 2 things here. One is what your audience actually needs, what they're struggling with, what their pain point is, their problem that you're solving. But also, it's not just about solving their problem. Okay, it's about solving your business problem. It's about what you want, brand awareness or more sales or whatever, right? Your campaign purpose. So it's a give and take. You're going to give what your audience wants, yeah, but you're also going to give what you want. All right. So think about that. Generate 5 content ideas that address this. Okay. And make sure it links both the audience need and your campaign goal. Finally, choose which idea has the most impact and potential for repurposing. If you don't understand what repurposing is, leave that bit for now. If you know, then it's basically repurposing as in suitable for all the platforms, the different platforms. So if you're creating, got an idea, I'll create a video teaching people about something on TikTok, then how do you take that idea and do something on Instagram? Well, you create an infographic, yeah? So that kind of thing. Ramit, you okay?
Yeah, just a quick question. When you said our personas,
Yeah.
can you clarify? Do you mean the business as persona, or
No, your customer persona.
so we're trying to find the customers, not what we're well, not our brand basically. So we're not talking about the persona of our brand.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Your brand, is your brand identity is about what you're doing as a business. That's defined by your mission, vision, and values, right? The persona of your customer is who your ideal customer is, and it starts off with a kind of an idea of who that person is. You don't have much data, but once you create content, that kind of forms into a more realistic representation of your ideal customer. So you'll build that over time. Like you have it in your head. Like for me, a lot of people that are coming into following me are like on that Bengali channel are people who are housewives who are like working in the restaurant and they're coming home. They want that additional income. So the housewives at home, they're basically building their own little network and selling things through affiliate marketing, but they're doing MLMs and they're not really building a real business, but they're seeing it as a business. So me going in there, it's about giving them that extra. So I know my audience persona, and to know that you got to watch their content. Okay, you got to kind of be a bit nosy and get to know your audience. Yeah, and that is it's your audience.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna go quiet because I can talk a lot, as you know. So I'll go quiet. I don't want to interrupt you for 10 minutes. Okay, just work on this and put it into the chat, and you have your discussion in the chat during that time. Okay. Right, so you've generated some ideas, you've shared it with the group, you're looking at each other's ideas. Feel free to get inspired and work on those ideas and build up to actually creating content at some point, okay? Make use of it. And obviously, in the session, the questions, some of the tasks may be related to that, so you'll use it. So save that document wherever you've written it, save it. If you want to save some other ideas of other people, do that as well. It's not copying, it's not cheating, because your content's going to be different anyway, and it's not always going to be relevant. Okay, so content formats to choose from, right? So now we're thinking about the content format. You've got some ideas. Now, those ideas could be different. It could be, it doesn't have to be video, it could be something else. So there's different types of content. Okay. So when you're thinking about your ideas, you may think, okay, like I said, a YouTube video, because it's a tutorial, it's long. So it will be a long form of content. But there's short form content that grabs attention. Like, for example, like a quick recipe that I've got, a cooking video, but I could do a stretch, a long one on YouTube, or I could do a short form one where I've got like different clips of it happening in like to speed it up. Okay. So I'm going to go through each one of these. Okay. So the first one is short form content. So ideal for awareness and engagement, performs well on TikTok and Instagram. Okay. So if you're trying to get awareness and engagement with no relationship with your audience, then you're not going to be able to grab their attention quickly or for too long. You need to just kind of build that awareness on somewhere like TikTok or Instagram, where that you're not selling anything, you're just kind of showing what you do. You're showing the cooking videos, you're showing the food, or you're showing the health products or whatever you're doing. And you're just kind of keeping it quite light and entertaining. Okay. And that could be for brand awareness. So your brand awareness, you're thinking, it's my brand. Where are my audience spending time? I just want to be there. I'm not selling something hard. All right. Graphics and carousels are perfect for storytelling, step-by-step information, or showcasing visuals. So if you've got like a story to tell through images, like say you've been traveling and you've got a travel blog, and eventually your end goal is to sell travel products or get sponsors, then you might, and you're traveling anyway, you might tell your story through pictures. And because it's very visual, Instagram. Okay. So something like that. And that's carousels and graphics. And then blogs and articles could be more information about your products. So that could be a part of your campaign and your idea. So your idea could be to write blog articles. And if you write blog articles, you're giving more information about the industry. So if you have a lot of knowledge, say, I'm teaching you social media, but my blog articles about the social media as an industry as a whole, the digital marketing industry as a whole. So that gives me authority. It enables me to show that I have authority. Okay, I have knowledge. And it also, it's a great place for education, but also in-depth content about your products. So part of your idea generation could be, okay, I need to create a part of my campaign, I need to inform people about what we do. So let's get a blog article together. Okay. So when I ask for ideas, I think some of you confused it with, because it says persona led, you started to think about your persona, which is great. Okay. But that's your persona, that's your audience. You need that information. But what we're talking about is ideas about the content you're going to create to help that audience to convert from being aware of your brand to actually building up a desire to purchasing whatever you've got and then becoming loyal. So it could be at any stage of that sales journey that you're basically targeting those audiences. Is it brand awareness? Is it, attention for like building that desire? Is it that you're trying to get them to purchase something, going hard on that? Or are you building loyalty, like for people who've already bought? So your objective is very clear, and then the content. Okay, so infographics to give you more information, that also works. It visually breaks down complex information. So that could be for people who have already built the desire up and they just want more information. Testimonials build trust and support. So that fits nicely into that last bit, when people have already built up the desire, they already know your brand, they just want to make that decision of purchasing. So you just want to kind of tip them, like give them a little nudge to pay for the product. And that testimonial is going to do that. Okay. It'll give that confidence. Okay, I actually believe that this is good, this is real, or this guy actually knows what he's talking about, or this product's going to help me lose weight, or this is the perfect thing for me to solve my problem. That testimonial is going to bring that trust. So part of your campaign could be testimonials. It could be literally the whole campaign could be about getting evidence for your product being working. Yeah. And the campaign purpose is to get those people to not abandon cart and actually purchase. Does that make sense? Okay. So each content would be for a purpose and it will fit into your campaign at some point. And your campaign, it all depends on what your campaign is about. Is it to, if you're seeing that, if you had a meeting and your boss said, look, we're getting lots of people on our mailing list, but at the end of it, when we're getting a lot of people dropping off at the shopping cart. It's literally like a lot of visitors going to our website. So we don't need a campaign to get people to the website. We're getting people to the website. The stats tell us that. But what we're getting, we can see on the analytics that people are going to the place where they're going to purchase the products page and they're dropping off, they're not buying. So what your campaign is going to be about is about converting people to buyers, yeah, at that point. So what content you're going to create? Testimonials, yeah? You're going to build confidence. So your whole campaign could be just about building confidence. That could be the objective. Does that make sense? Yeah? Hopefully it does. Yeah, give me some thumbs up, please. So you know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about as well. Because sometimes it's hard to kind of get that message across. Rob, does it make sense a little bit more?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And strangely enough, what you're just talking about reminds me of something Rory Sutherland was talking about, which is people who go through to the shopping cart and don't order things because they don't like the delivery people. So you put in an option where they can decide which company will do the deliveries for them.
Okay. So put that into your answers in your questions in Moodle, yeah? So you can discuss that in there. Okay, so as we go on, we got product demos. So product demos are a great way to kind of show that a product actually works, okay? How it is going to work after you've purchased it, right? So if somebody's already purchased it, they need to know how to use it. So if that's part of your campaign that people are purchasing, but they're not repurchasing, or we're getting loads of refunds, okay? If that's the problem, then your campaign could be about, hey, we need to create some demos so people know actually how to use it. They're sending us the thing back saying they can't use it. We made it too complicated. We need to make it easier for them. Let's get some videos on YouTube and put it out there as tutorials. Or maybe it's a new product. It's like an AI product, or it's something that people haven't used before. So we need educational tutorials so people get it, they understand. That could be a part of your campaign. It could be interactive content, polls, quizzes, because you need more engagement. You're building trust. Yeah. So wherever you're creating, it has to have a purpose. It has to be something behind it. Otherwise, you're going to spend money on it, ads, all this stuff for no reason. So when we're matching the purpose, the objective with where they are in the sales journey, we're thinking about where they are. Okay. So they're going to be either getting awareness of our product, they're going to probably be building up desire, and they're probably going to purchase and be loyal. So you can look at the sales funnel. I'll let you do that in your own time. But there's some things that they're going to do, right? So this is a sales funnel, but it's just different wording, okay? So awareness is basically brand awareness. People scroll quickly. You need content to grab their attention. So if you're trying to create brand awareness and you know people got dopamine fix and they're literally scrolling for the next hit, right? You're gonna have to create that grabbing attention content in the first 3 seconds of your video, and that's gonna keep them get their attention. And sometimes you'll see videos where they put the climax at the beginning and then they start the story and get to the climax towards the end again. Why they brought the climax at the beginning? Because the shock factor, they're getting your attention, right? So you're thinking about your idea. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to write the beginning. I'm going to have a car crash and then show how it actually happened. So I recently watched a video where somebody was getting their bike stolen. Okay. Grabbed my attention. It looked real. Like the guy was trying to take his bike. The other guy came, they had a fight. But then I see the fight going on in the background, and a rap artist starting rapping about the situation, and the guys chasing, all that's happening in the background. So it's a really good way of getting attention to his rap song, right? Okay, didn't expect that to happen, but now I'm interested. I'm listening to his music, but at the same time, I'm seeing all this action happening in the background. So you've got to be creative, and this is awareness, engagement. Okay, carousels, polls, blogs. It's a way to interact, get people to actually communicate with you, and that's important to build community. Consideration. If you're trying to get people to consider, like you've got the awareness, they know about your brand, you've done a lot of marketing on there. Now you're getting them to consider your products. How are you going to get people who have just known your brand suddenly to buy from you? They're not going to buy from you if the relationship's not there, if they don't understand your product. So you're going to have to create that engagement for the relationship. You're going to create those tutorials and explainers and comparisons to show that your product is better than the others, or how it works, okay, what it is about. Okay, so that is your content. So your content is going to be fitting into somewhere in the sales funnel, and you don't get confused and overwhelm yourself by thinking you're going to create every single phase in the whole sales funnel in one campaign. Your campaign may not be about the whole sales funnel. It will be very difficult. Okay, it's about targeting certain people in a certain mindset at a certain stage of the funnel. Okay. And these campaigns don't have to be 6 weeks long. A campaign could run for 3 days. All right. It's different for everybody. So the last one is retention, keeping those customers loyal. And that could be through discounts, and you're doing special offers, and that could be your content. And then you've got to think which platform would be great for that content. Discounts. Pay attention to what other companies are doing. Where do they put the discounts? Where do you see the special offers? Instagram, TikTok, which one do you see it on? Do you see it on Facebook? Yes, Facebook ads. Okay, so think about that. There's a reason behind why they're doing it. What are your competitors doing? And what platforms are the competitors using? So now we're going to content pillars. So content pillars are the core topics or the themes that are brand consistent, that a brand consistently creates content around. So if you're thinking about content ideas and you're a bit confused, you're going to categorize your content. I categorize mine into 3: social media, blockchain technology, artificial intelligence. That's my 3 content pillars. You will have yours. You might not have 3. You may have 2. You may only have 1. But if you have a bit of variety, you're grabbing more people's attention, but they need to relate. Think of them as pillars of one building. Okay. So the content pillars are the core topics or themes that brand consistently creates around the content. Okay. Or creates content around. They act as the foundation of your entire content strategy, ensuring your messaging is focused, purposeful, and aligned with your brand identity and audience needs. So my I help statement is I help small, medium-sized businesses, SMEs, to understand and use social media and blockchain and emerging tech like blockchain and AI. So that is my I help statement. Now, if that's my I help statement, my content pillars are aligning with that, right? If I start doing unboxing videos for kids' toys, suddenly, algorithm's going to get confused. Maybe add a little baby boy or a girl. Maybe it doesn't matter to the algorithms. He doesn't care. It's not going to congratulate me. It's going to get confused. Okay. So there's a time and place. But if you are kind of adding that human element to your business, then maybe show them a part of your life and what you get up to. Nothing wrong with that. But stick to your pillars. Okay, so pillars organize your themes, and pillars and themes. There's 2 terms that are used, right? But think of the theme as, like, for me, the theme is technology, the theme is digital. That's the theme, okay? And the pillars organize that into social media, AI, and blockchain. All right. So I'm giving you my examples. You have to relate it to yours. Ensure content variety. It gives you that variety. Yeah. So it's not kind of, I'm always talking about social media, because some people may not relate to social media, but they're still interested in other things you know about. Support campaign structure and maintain consistency. Okay. So I've got another task, but I don't think I've got time for this. But so I'm going to just explain what it is. Okay. So there's 3 I want you to think of 3 themes, okay? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this. What I want you to do is if you don't write anything, watch others. If you understand what your content is about, type it into the chat now. Okay? Like on an umbrella level, like at the top level, what is it about? I'm trying to help you to break it down. Simon saying games, got UGC, users generate content, fashion, and so on. Now, all of these will fall into some kind of industry or category or something. You have to research that. Some of them are easier than others, like wellness falls into health industry. Others are a bit more difficult, but gaming falls into entertainment. Now I want you to think, okay, some of it, like Ramit has already got his content pillars. Now I want you to think about how to divide that into a few pillars, things that you can talk about. So, for example, if it's games, you could be talking about nostalgic games, yeah, Sega Mega Drive and all this stuff, Atari, and you could be talking about futuristic games, okay, like VR. You can tap into that. You can talk about monetizing, like on Twitch. So your categories are different, right? Getting a bit of variety. So if your Nancy's got football, right? That's very specific on one sport. But then you can categorize it. You can have content pillars on. It could be about something specific. Who like young people, football for youth clubs, getting them out of trouble, getting them into a sport, helping them with education. You could be doing that. You could be a football coach. All right. If it's mindset, positivity, that could go into like spiritual. It could go into like other things like I don't know, but it could go into different things, right? I don't know every industry, but it could go into its own thing. You got to just divide it up into different things and look at other content, other people, what they're creating to get those ideas. Help each other as well. So a lot of people have typed stuff in, help each other, okay? Because we ain't got time to go through everything. And I encourage you to help each other. So if anybody can help somebody figure out the pillars, do help. Okay. But the main thing here is you to understand what pillars are. Right. So so the task was to choose 3 themes. Basically, when you're talking about the themes, let me just read this quickly. Start by thinking about the brand goals and the persona needs. So we've thought about that already. Each pillar must have a strategic purpose: education, inspiration, promotion. So your pillar has to have a purpose. So once you've divided your once you've got your pillars, then what's the purpose? So for me, it's really blockchain, social media, and AI. It's all education. Okay. But then I add a bit of motivation into it as well. So that's the inspiration. Okay. It's about personal development, it's about help. So the inspiration is sprinkled across education. You will have your own. Okay. So think about that, but don't overthink your pillars. Choose themes that matter to your brand. For me, it's digital technology. For you, it may be sports, it may be health. That is your theme. And then is that split up and it should work with your brand. Okay? So does that make sense? Can I have some thumbs up? Sorry, I know
Can I ask a question? Sorry,
Yep.
because I am confused. Because on this slide, it uses the word theme and pillar interchangeably, but you're
It does.
using them quite differently. So
We are.
I don't understand. I thought a pillar was a theme, but you're saying it's something under a theme.
So it uses it interchangeably, and if you go on the internet, there's places that will use it interchangeably. Now, me being the educator and educating you guys, how I would educate you is that think of the pillars, okay, as your categories of your content. Okay, so for example, for me, blockchain, AI, and social media, your theme is the overall theme. Okay, my overall theme is digital technology, and it all fits in. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Was that Christy?
Yeah, it was Christy. Yes, a bit more. I
A
think it's
bit more, yeah.
confusing having
Because
this slide.
the confusing is the slide. The slide is confusing, and because the slide I've adopted the slide. I didn't create the slide. So I went on the internet and I looked at what themes are and pillars are. Is it different? Is it the same? It's used interchangeably even on the internet in many places, right? So for the purpose of, like, if you want to learn from me, what I would say is a theme is like your overall theme, and the pillars are basically what it stands on. Okay, and it basically divides it. Now you might learn differently from somebody else, but since I'm leading this, this is how I would see it. Now you could tell me no, it's wrong. This is how it is. But the thing is, it's different everywhere. Like I've seen it. It's like you go some places, they talk about themes. It really, to be honest, it doesn't matter. What matters is that your content is divided and gives variety, and you have an overall arching theme of what you're doing. Okay, like the kind of the health aspect. You're trying to help people with health, trying to educate people about digital tech, that kind of thing. So I don't think you should overthink it. And apologies for the confusion from the slide.
No, not at all. No, thank you for your
No worries.
explanation.
Lal, sorry, just quickly, could my theme then be fat loss, for example, and I'm like an expert in that? Like as a purpose,
Why?
I position myself as an expert.
That's fine. If you can
Yeah.
split that up into multiple pillars as well, but you might want to go a bit higher and say, healthy eating, and then split that into fat loss and
Okay.
other things, you know?
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so we're going to carry on from this task because we've obviously had many discussions and I don't think we'll make it in time. So building a core campaign message, right? So your campaign needs a central story your audience will easily recognize. So this is your theme that we're talking about, right? This message can be expressed visually, verbally, or throughout different content types. A strong message strengthens the brand and clarity. Every content idea you produce should link back to the story. All right. So if I started my story about, like, if I went personal and I said like how I got into tech, I first picked up my video camera when I was 13. I started filming my family, and then I got really interested in visuals, and then I wanted to work for the BBC. Then I worked for them for 5 years. That's my story, but I don't have to bore people with it. It's my message. If it's my story, personal brand, then that can slowly come into the content at different points, and people will pick up like who you are over time. You don't have to bore people with your story. What we're talking about when it's a campaign and needs a central story is it literally could be your own story, your brand, personal brand. If it's your business's story. Now, that story doesn't have to be like how you first founded the business and where you are today, but it could be. Like KFC could talk about the kernel, and then talk about the history and how everything happened and where they are today, all within 5 minutes of speeding up and different archive footage, and show you how it evolved over time. And that's a brilliant story. But what we're talking about here is a central message, campaign message. Okay, so that builds up into the story. So a successful campaign communicates one clear message across all content. This will help define the message so your ideas feel unified. One central message, adaptable tone and format reinforces the brand purpose and supports the campaign. So think of your core message as the heart of your campaign. Everything you produce should feel like it connects back to the message, even if the format changes. So your message could be healthy eating. Your message could be like, AI is not going to take over your jobs. Wherever your message is, what you're trying to explain to people, if you just tell them that in words, like AI is not going to take over your jobs, nobody's going to take you seriously. What's the fact? What backs you? Who are you? What's your expertise to say that? There's too many questions. If you create content around that, you can explain that AI is not going to take over your jobs without having to say that, if you know what I mean, right? There's ways of doing it, and that could be your central message. Your central message could fit into your sales funnel at some point where, I'm trying to get people to buy my product, and my product's a CBD product, and how CBD helps you with pain. That could be the central message, because my product's got CBD in it. It's CBD coffee, for example. Then I'm targeting coffee drinkers who got pain, like they got arthritis or something else. I know who my audience is. I don't have to tell them that you're a coffee drinker. or you got pain, I don't say those words, but I know who they are and I speak their language. My main message I have in my head, which is CBD helps you with pain, right? I keep that to myself, but throughout my campaign, that's what I'm trying to educate people about. And there's different ways of doing that until they make that decision that CBD helps with pain. And then they buy my product. Make the customer or your audience think it's their thought. It's their opinion themselves, not that you told them. Does that make sense? Your message, whatever you're trying to give out, is your marketing. Okay? McDonald's got a new burger. It's the best burger. You got to try it. It's beautiful. It looks good. It tastes good. It melts in your mouth. You can say everything, but unless somebody's tried it, they won't back you up, right? So your advertising has to say it, and that's through images, videos. When they do the video, they're not even using real cucumbers or real cheese. It's all like other stuff, that other materials you can't eat, but it looks good because what they're trying to do is trying to give you a message. Okay, that it's going to taste good. So your campaign message needs to be clear in your head, but the way you give that message is different. It's through your campaign, through the visuals, the text, and all sorts. Carrying on, content changes with different channels. We know this. I'm not going to go into it any deeper, but every channel is different. Okay, you got to adjust for the platform. Okay, visuals, the tone, study the platforms, look at what people are creating, how they're adapting, what's visual, what's more informative. Do research on that. LinkedIn, more serious, more educational, more professional. Instagram, TikTok, visual. Twitter, updates, X updates. Reddit, discussions. Pinterest, you got images, but you've also got infographics. Infographics works on LinkedIn. TikTok, entertainment, education can also work. You know the score. But these platforms require you to create different content. Okay. So each platform has its unique audience behavior. It's the same audience, same Bob and Alice, but behavior is different. Content must match the platform's purpose. So if TikTok is designed to create fast engagement, you're going to have to create fast engagement. Your videos can't be an hour long on TikTok. You're better off on platforms like Facebook. On YouTube, right? So tone, visuals, and structure need adjusting. One size fits all. It doesn't work. It reduces the engagement. Okay, I think we all understand that by now. So understanding platform audience, I've already gone through it, without even looking at this, but I'm going to go through it quickly. TikTok, younger, entertainment focused. Instagram, visual, aspiration, lifestyle driven. Facebook, mixed age, community and conversations. LinkedIn, professional, insight driven. YouTube, learners, researchers, long form viewers. Email, it's existing audience looking for value and updates. And website, blog is deep seeking audience that want more details and trustworthy information, right? So if you want to screenshot this, do it, but you'll get the slide deck anyway. Okay, so this is what you're basically needing to understand. Okay, deciding on what platform you're going to go for. All right, so carrying on, key adaptation factors. So when we're looking at adapting to these platforms, the things that we have to think about is the format. Okay, is it vertical, horizontal, the SEO format, that SEO friendly? Where do we put the hashtags and all this? I know some of you may have questions around hashtags and all this. We're going to cover that in other sessions. Okay, tone of voice, very important. Platforms like LinkedIn require formality, okay, while TikTok allows humor and energy. Okay, there's a difference. I can't put I'm a bit more serious type of person, right? Now my personality is serious at this stage of my life, right? I would probably do well on LinkedIn, but I haven't even touched LinkedIn. The reason my attention is on TikTok is my audience is there. Now, am I adapting my tone? Not really. Why? Because I also understand that there is a need for that authoritative tone that's lacking on TikTok for that specific audience. The competition is low. So there's a strategy behind it, but you have to appreciate that your audience is not expecting education there, or so you need to grab their attention as if it's something funny you were going to say, but then give your serious message. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you're going to have to play with the idea. Okay, I'm going to talk about something serious, but I'm going to get their attention with something funny, a bit of camera movement, a bit of like this and that, because I want to grab their attention and then tell them. Because on TikTok, people are also going to grow older. They're going to have problems. They're going to be on that platform, but they're not always going to stay young. I want them to grow with me and go with me into Facebook. So you got to understand your tone and understand the length as well. What is good for certain platform? TikTok demands 5 to 15 seconds of punchy content. 5 to 15 seconds. Most of my videos are around 1 minute. Why? Because if I got 5 to 15 seconds, which is great, but I can't really give them a lot of value in 15 seconds. Right now, I want them to understand a little bit more than that. A minute is fine, but remember, TikTok algorithms looking at how long they're watching, retention time, viewing time. So if you've got 15 seconds and they watch 100% of that 15 seconds, it's going to do well. So think about that. If you got a minute, you're going to have to get them to watch at least 50% of that to get the same attention, the same algorithm reaction. So length is something that you need to adapt according to platform. Visual design, how you are using more kind of emojis and graphics on Instagram. You can't do that on LinkedIn, right? It doesn't fit. It look out of place. You can do it. You can post it. You're not going to get much engagement. Visual design, we've just talked about. CTA placement, where is the call to action? On a website, it's basically on the, it could be at the top or like in the middle somewhere, but on other platforms, it's different, isn't it? Everywhere is different. Find out where the call to action is. Adapting content does not change the message, it changes the form so the message lands better with the audience. Yeah? My message of healthy eating is the same, okay? But I'm going to spread it across different platforms and I'm going to explain it differently because people's mindset is different when they're on these different platforms. I don't know how much I can break this down. Hopefully it makes sense to you guys that you're changing platforms, you change the tone, your message is the same. And your campaign message, you need to define. What are you trying to explain to people? What are you trying to say? Okay, adapting the message for different platforms is what we just talked about. Yeah, so how do we do this? So Instagram, TikTok, they're basically visual. So TikTok, 15-second quick fire tips. Instagram, carousels with visual steps. Facebook, longer educational posts with discussion prompts. LinkedIn, professional insights on choosing performance footwear, for example. YouTube, 5 to 10 minute tutorial videos. Email, personalized advice and link to full guide and website detailed article. So you can see, think about your content, your message, your business, and you look at these platforms and you can see which one you're going to create content for. Straight away, you can understand that because you're thinking now, well, I need to grab their attention for brand awareness. I'm going to go create content on TikTok for 15 seconds, and then you know it's about entertainment or education. It's about grabbing attention quickly. Or I got some videos to show tutorial educational tutorials or demos for my product. Okay, this is about retention or after they purchased. So that's going to go on to YouTube, and I can have that link on an email that goes out automatically after they've purchased. So you're providing support of the product on YouTube. At the same time, other people may see that tutorial. So in the description, you have the link to the website for new customers who may purchase by watching the video. Does that make sense? So you're making a whole mesh and a whole network of the website. The internet is a web. It's a web of information. You're basically weaving your web. You're a spider on the internet. You're weaving your web on the internet, your web of information. So when people go in one place, they can go to the next place, and then their journey is within your ecosystem. They're finding you on TikTok, then they're clicking on a link and they're going into your Facebook or somewhere else, and from there they're going into your website. They're discovering your brand, and you're providing that. You want them to stay with you as long as possible. Okay. So algorithms influence content adaptation. That's what you're doing. You're doing all this because the algorithms are looking for this. So for TikTok and Instagram, it's looking at content engagement, right? So it's looking at engagement. So you're trying to get people to comment or save or like or share. So the algorithms on TikTok and Instagram are looking for engagement. So you're going to push that engagement. You're going to get people to comment. You can create curiosity. You can have somebody in the background in the window, like as if they're gonna, it's like a ghost or something, and you're not acknowledging it. And people will be in the comments saying, "Hey, there's somebody in the background. Did you see that?" Yeah, you have to be creative. How do you get people to argue in the comments? Build a debate, touchy, sensitive topic. Create some issues. Agitate, create that pain point, and like, don't create the pain point, highlight the pain point. A lot of people don't know they have a pain point. Highlight it and agitate it. Throw some salt on their wound, make them talk about it. Okay. Retention. YouTube promotes videos people watch for longer. So nowadays, like yesterday with my wife, I was watching a YouTube video on the TV, right? And it was an educational investment video, right? Something I want to learn about a project. And it's on YouTube and it's a long form video. And I'm sitting on my sofa watching it over a cup of coffee with my wife. So you got to think, where is the audience when they're watching that? They have to be somewhere where they're willing to stay and watch for 10, 15, 20, even half an hour, right? They're in that mindset. So you got to create content that is suitable for that, for your business. So an event, a public event, an event where a couple of people are on stage and they're debating something. It's a debate about products and services that are related to your company. Maybe your company set up the event. That video should not be, it can be sliced up and put on different platforms, but the one long form video would be ideal on YouTube. Then retention promotes. So basically what I'm saying is, like, retention, when you're thinking about keeping customers loyal and for longer, then your long form content does that, because it keeps people educated. But you've got to realize that how we feel nowadays, like, how many of us can sit through a 2 hour movie nowadays because of the dopamine fix that we get on content. Every film, if it's not grabbing your attention at the beginning, you skip it and you go to watch another movie on Netflix, right? Why? Because of the amount of chemicals, dopamine we got in our body. Like, we can't seem to start any film and watch it full. We're literally going through like a few minutes of every beginning, but the movies aren't designed like that, especially the older ones. They're not designed like that to have that attention grab in the first few minutes of the movie. But you'll see, if you notice, the new films, and if you studied film studies, I've studied film studies back in degree level, like 15 years ago, but things have changed now, and it'll be interesting to go back into film studies and understand how the dopamine fix of people on social media has changed how people create films nowadays. Okay, it has to grab your attention at the beginning, because otherwise nobody's going to watch for 2 hours. Yeah. So that's the filmmakers are now changing the way they make films because of how we react. So you got to understand that. Search-based platforms, blogs, websites thrive when content is keyword rich, structured, and SEO optimized. So your content is adapting to the platform. Okay. Your keyword rich, not just bombarding it with keywords, but it still needs to have structure. It could have embedded video, create value. You optimize it with SEO. When we talk about that, we're talking about how you have backlinks in, like other people referring your website, or you have internal links going from one page to another. All of that is adapting to your content, is being adapted for that site. So last one is consistency improves visibility. So posting regular helps algorithms recognize your content. Tone of voice. TikTok, fun, casual, expressive. I struggle with that on TikTok. I'm not a fun, casual, expressive guy. I just give content. Look, like it or not, I'm gonna create how I create content. Otherwise, I'll never create content, right? Sometimes you got to realize that there are people on TikTok that actually want a bit of maturity and a bit of education, but it will be harder for you. Okay, it'll be harder. So I try to get my 10-year-old to come in with me and create some content. He doesn't want to do it. It's embarrassing for him. He'd rather create his own little things from PS5 and his gaming, but he doesn't want to do anything to do with AI. He thinks I'm crazy. But that's the younger generation, right? But when they were younger, when they were like 3, 4, 5 years old, and they were inspired by what I was doing. So they came on and they were playing games, and I've got videos of them when they were younger and they did really good. And I wish they kept it up. Okay. But the thing is, what that does it when the reason I'm mentioning that is, if you can't be expressive, if you're not fun, get somebody else in there for your business who can do that. Remember, you are the CEO of your business. You can't be a jack of all trades. You can hire somebody who's more fun, casual, expressive. I've seen lots of places do it. The restaurant that my wife is a chef of, they recently had a kind of a photo shoot for the food, right? They had an influencer come in. She was pretty. She came in. She had some food. They took some pictures. She doesn't work there. She was expressive. She was fun. She was beautiful. That's why they got her. They paid her. She came in. She pretended she was a waitress there. They had the visuals and they got it on TikTok and everywhere, Instagram, everywhere. They paid because they haven't got anybody who's good looking. Well, my wife's in the kitchen now. I'm not saying she's not good looking, but she has to cook the food, right? She can't be modeling as well. So everybody has a purpose. You have to get the right people in. Okay? Don't think I have to now start dancing. You don't. Get somebody who can dance. Does that make sense? So Instagram friendly, inspiring. Just be friendly. I mean, you can do that. You can be friendly. But maybe you're not a friendly person. Make that part of your character. Let people think you're grumpy and horrible, because that would be you. That would make you stand out if that works for you. Go towards your strength. Okay. Conversational, Facebook. Conversation is community. All right. So you got to think community, conversational, have conversation there. LinkedIn, formal, authoritative. So you're talking about the industry, giving graphics and infographics and helping people, inspiring people, talking about helpful, useful links, sharing things. YouTube, educational. Just go to these platforms, you'll see what it's all about. Email, personal, warm. Why personal? Because you've already got them subscribed. Now it's about nurturing, yeah. And then website, they're already on the website because they like your brand. They're already on there because they're considering. Now you got to provide that information, the testimonial. It has to be structured, it has to be mobile compatible, and it has to build that trust. Okay, so there's different voice across different platforms, different types of content. Visual adaptation, obviously aspect ratio and all of this. All these platforms nowadays, they do it for you. The templates, everything is there. Canva's got loads of templates with the different aspect ratios. TikTok uses 9:16 ratio. It's all there. You don't have to figure it out, you don't have to Google it, but you just need to know the layouts. Blogs require headers, subheading, white space. Instagram requires clean, high impact visuals. Branding must, if you think about branding, it must appear subtle, but across all the platforms. You don't want to be in the face with the content every time with the brand name. Yeah. But it needs to be in the distance somewhere. Like if you're wearing a t-shirt with your logo on it, or if you're in the distance, you can see even the kind of a silhouette of the logo, or kind of a more like blurred out version. You're still kind of there, but not there, if you know what I mean. So it shouldn't be obvious that you're trying to push your brand, but your brand subconsciously goes in people's mind, if that makes sense. If you want to understand that more, look at how other big brands do it. Okay. KFC, McDonald's, Gucci, Nike. How do they get their brand out there? Study this. Become a student of branding. by looking at other brands. Go down the high street on a Sunday morning, look at all the brand names, and look at all the the digital billboards nowadays. How do they brand in different places? Okay, where the attention grab is different everywhere. Study these brands. They're doing it, professionals. Been in it a long time. Recently, there was a video of a young guy in his 20s. He was hired by, I think, Slazenger, I think he was. They're old brand, but they're not very kind of modern, and they're losing money. He took over and he basically rebranded the whole thing. He had a full campaign on it, and he's just, he's doing amazing for them, and they've hired him for the whole company. Like, he's basically in charge of the whole branding. And that's about, it's about following these people and understanding these strategies. So visual adaptation is important. The aspect ratio, the platform specific layouts, brand colors and fonts that will work, text usage and graphics, and image and video. So you don't want to go too far away from your original. So like when it comes to the brand, so stick with the same type of colors and stuff. Like, for example, when I did the text on my TikTok, is purple, not because I like purple, but because I know that purple and blue works with technology companies, tech companies, and it's that branding, thinking about the color thing. Yeah. And my logo has the blue and purple gradient, so the purple is in my text as well, and it's keeping that consistency. Okay. Subtle language branding. Okay. So structuring content is important. The hook, grabbing attention in the first few seconds. On a blog, it needs to be engaging with the headline and the opening paragraph. Remember, the hook is not only on TikTok, it's everywhere, like every platform, but it changes according to platform. On TikTok, it's a lot harder because it's like swipe and they're gone. On a website, it's still hard. People don't stay on a website that long if you can't grab their attention, which means the heading, the main hero kind of heading at the top, that needs to be attractive, and everything needs to be there. The call to action, the video, the branding, logo, everything at the top, so that they don't have to scroll to see something else. All right. So core message, obviously your message, like what you're trying to, your core message for your overall campaign could be different to your message of that specific content. So my specific content could be that not everybody's going to support you in your journey, in your business, right? Not every friend is going to support you. So I made one like that yesterday. Not every friend, some friends are going to be jealous, this, that. They're not your audience. Don't think about your friends, family. They're not, they shouldn't stop it. So I made a video like that. That is a core message of that video. My overall campaign of creating content on TikTok is to get people to understand that there's more to business than selling, pushing affiliate links. You're not a business person by pushing affiliate links and getting people into MLMs. I'm trying to get these people to understand there's a bigger, you can do more on online than just kind of push multi-level marketing things that where you're buying the product yourself or getting people to buy, and there's not actually people an audience and it came from somebody trying to sell Kangen water machine, and it's like £1,200, right? And what they do is they promote it, they get people to buy it, but then the condition is if you want to get commission from the next lot in the multi-level marketing, you basically have to purchase one yourself, then you get double. And they're all buying within their own little kind of so-called business people, right? So it's not really a good model, and there's better ways of doing things when it comes to marketing, right? So multi-level marketing, scams, people get ripped off, and this is what I've always done. I've educated people about what are scams, what are not scams, what is real business, what isn't a business, because there's a lot of a lot of dodgy people out there, right? So sometimes you need a common enemy. It's a strategy. If you have a common enemy, then you can provide that knowledge to kind of keep them away from that common enemy. If the common enemy could be the British weather, the common enemy could be a scammer. It could be anything. Okay. So think about that and look up that as well. Common enemy, right? It's a way of creating content. But yeah, your core message and then supporting detail. Okay, so for example, on a blog, it could be FAQs, it could be data steps, it could be data, it could be steps like to follow. Instagram, it could be bite-sized visuals. So it's supporting details of that video, of that content. I say video, but it could be anything, your content basically. And finally, the call to action. So on a blog, it could be learn more. Okay, read next. While on TikTok, it could be follow for more. It's a call to action. It's not always buy it now. Yeah, your call to action is something, it could be something different. Learn more, sign up, and you'll see the call to actions on buttons when you start putting a button in for your Facebook page, for example. We'll give you all the options. Structure must fit how people consume the content. So you got to think, how do people consume my content? Website allows depth, right? I've seen sales pages that go on forever. If you want to see one of them, go and check out Anik Singhal. Don't fall into the sales funnel. But he was the first marketer of that type that I experienced, where I was watching a video, got interested, learned about the sales funnel, and I appreciate that I learned about sales funnel from him, but I was in the sales funnel. And I didn't realize. And I watched his whole presentation, everything. In the end, he tried to sell, obviously not specifically to me, but obviously there's skilled people. It feels like they're talking to you, and that's how it should be. At the end, I thought, £20,000 for this program, this coaching program. I can't afford 20 grand, but he literally bought it all the way down to £500 from 20 grand. Because every time you click away from it, it gives you another offer. Like, how about we do this and another video of him, and it took it down to 500, and he ended up buying it. So he converted. He got a new customer. Imagine how many people paying £500 for his program. And I went into it, learned about affiliate marketing. Okay, it was literally affiliate marketing and how to, use paid, like ads and all this stuff. I did learn, but the community there, it was all people who were struggling, and they'll probably never ever take action. And I just had to. I realized, okay, I got what I needed. I'm out. Okay, you can't always get motivated. You can't keep on watching motivational videos. You can't always be learning from these gurus, right? At some point, you got to take action and move on. Same with Gary Vaynerchuk. I learned from him, stopped watching him, moved on, because otherwise you'll be in that loop of keep on consuming content and keep on kind of somebody telling you, hey, do this, do that, and you'll never do it. Okay, so sorry, sometimes I deviate to other things that I find that will be valuable for you. But call to action is very important when it's structuring, because at the end of the day, you don't want people to watch, consume your content, not give you anything back. Yeah, you put all that effort into your content and you're not asking anything in return. What's going on? Yeah, call to action. You got them through the 3 seconds. You gave them value. Ask for something. Nothing wrong with that. Get them to follow you. Don't beg them, like, please follow me. Please, I need more subscribers. No, do that. Be professional about it. Add it at the end. Let them decide if they want to. Follow for more. Simple, like, call to action. So with 15 minutes, I don't think I have time for another task, but let me see what this is. Choose one campaign message theme, create a TikTok, Instagram version, create an email version. Okay, let me see. Let me just see. Choose 1, 2 people. Okay, sure. Okay, so this is about the message. Okay. So you'll now adapt one message for social, email, and blog. This activity will help you develop your ability to reshape the content for different audiences. So basically, keep the message the same, but let the platform decide the structure, tone, and length. Okay? So this is something that you're going to have to do anyway, like in reality. Okay? In reality, when you're going from one platform to another, your message is going to change slightly. So, for example, social is short, bold, visual, fast. Email, okay, I'm going to say that again. Social, which means TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of them. Short, bold, visual, fast. Short, bold, visual, fast. Email, personal, direct, benefit led is email, isn't it? And blog is detailed, structured, and SEO friendly. Okay. So it's the same message. It could be the same message, but you're going to have to adapt it for email. You're going to have to adapt it for your blog. So your message is going to change. Okay. Now, your message here. So it says choose one campaign message. Does everybody have a message in mind? Does anybody have a message in mind? Please type it into the chat now. Like, what is your message? So if you're confused, it's because you're overwhelming yourself. Okay. It's simple as literally, you know, it's simple as it's me saying simple as, and I can't think of a message, right? It's simple as, okay, here we've got some coming up. Okay, so create authentic aligned usage for your brand, etc. We are here for the Send community. Okay, so think a bit more like for example, what I said before, like CBD reduces pain, right? If that's my message, so put your messages in there. Like somebody put, you don't need the gym to lose weight. That's a great message. Okay, so put your messages in there. I like that one. But CBD helps with pain relief. If that was my message, for social, that's fine. But email is going to be different. That same message, I can't just put it like through. If I get people to understand it, it needs to be benefit led. So I need to kind of put bullet points into my email, like the different benefits, list the benefits of CBD maybe. Yeah. On blog, it can be more detailed. I can go into how CBD, where it comes from, and how you're not going to get high. It's not THC, it's CBD. I can go into detail about it. Yeah. Legalities of it. I can go in, and then I get that help with the SEO as well. Yeah. People are going to type, is CBD going to make me high? Right. If they put that in, maybe they want to get high. Okay. And they type that in, they'll land on my blog because I've used the same word. Does that make sense? And then they realize, hey, they can drink coffee and not get high, but actually feel the effects of being relaxed. And maybe that's what they were looking for. So you have to be strategic in your messaging and according to the platform. Now, look at some of these messages that you're seeing by your peers and read them. And if you're struggling to understand what I'm talking about, look at what other people are typing because they understand what I'm talking about. Okay. So Christy's writing, not all followers are equal. If that's her message, right? She needs to think flowers. Sorry, it's just my social media mind. I'm not thinking about flowers. I'm thinking about followers. So sorry, Christy. So not all flowers are equal, right? Now, Christy is going to be putting up visuals because flowers are very visual. She's going to use Instagram and everything. But now, if Christy does email, it's about bullet points. It's about giving that little extra to explain why they're not equal. And then in a blog, it'll be about different types of flowers and interesting things and going into horticulture and all sorts of stuff, right? And that is an opportunity for SEO, obviously, but obviously on Instagram as well. But it's different everywhere. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Your messaging changes according to the platform. Okay, and when we go onto these platforms, when we're looking at email campaigns, have a go at it. Have a go at writing an email. Get somebody to read that email. Ask them what it feels like when they read it. Is it too salesy? Is it informative? Get some feedback. There's nothing wrong with getting feedback from your partner, from your like friends, but people that actually would help you and not laugh at you, obviously, but somebody who's going to motivate you, somebody who's going to encourage you. You don't want people to give you criticism without constructive criticism, right? You want people to actually point in the right direction. And if you want, you can email me. Okay, you can send me an email and say, hey, Bilal, what do you think of this? Right? No problem. And the chat is a great place to do this. Okay, so help you while I'm talking, while you're listening to me, have conversation in the chat with each other. I encourage that. It's not you being rude, and it's not like in a classroom you're talking while I'm delivering. I want you to engage. So help each other with ideas while I'm going through the slide. So I think you understand that. Moving on, right? So I'm going to move on from this task, and we haven't skipped the task because you're obviously typing into the chat and you're engaging. So this is good. So common mistakes that people make is the brand obviously needs to be there, but copy and paste. Okay, so let's talk about that. Results in low engagement, and because the content feels out of place. If you're taking, like I've done it, I've taken a piece of content from TikTok, put it onto Facebook. Didn't work. It's not for that platform. Okay. But because of the formal type of content I create, it kind of little bit worked, but the formatting, the vertical video and you know, but maybe it would work on stories, maybe it would work on reels. So you think of these other platforms that have adopted some of these styles because they want the same audience. Does that make sense? So if Instagram and TikTok are doing well, then YouTube, obviously owned by Google, not Facebook, so it's not owned by Meta. Google started thinking, okay, we're going to have YouTube Shorts. So there is a place for it. You just got to think, yeah? So common mistakes is copy and pasting content, not adjusting the tone and length of the content, using incorrect visuals or orientation, like TikTok requires vertical, websites require horizontal. Text overload, avoiding crowding designs on social. You don't want too much crowd of text. Poor blog structure. If your blog's not if it's not mobile compatible, or if it starts off with a massive image, but not the heading, there's no clarity, there's pop-ups, obviously that kind of stuff. And then CTA mismatch. So email and blogs need clear CTAs. Okay, Instagram prefers subtle nudges. Okay, so again, go to Instagram, look for the CTAs, see what I mean by subtle nudges. What does subtle nudges mean on Instagram? Okay, think about that. It doesn't hard sell on Instagram. It's lifestyle. The subtle nudge is more mindset, and it then takes you somewhere else. It's not selling there. The CTA it's still a CTA, but it's usually in the bio. It's a subtle nudge. But another one's like email, and it's like a link, literally one way out kind of CTAs. There are extremely common mistakes in real marketing teams. Even experienced marketers make them. Avoiding them will instantly improve your content quality. Okay, so you're gonna make mistakes. Everybody's gonna make mistakes and learn from them. That's the process. At the end of your campaign, there's gonna be the closing. Okay, during that closing period where you're getting all the data, the stats, how things went well, you're gonna have discussions, meetings, get all these like reports. You're gonna learn from it. Your mistakes aren't mistakes, they're lessons. Okay, in life in general, anytime you made a mistake, it was an expensive lesson, maybe if you lost money, right? But mistakes are lessons. That's the mindset you need to have with campaigns. Brand consistency, I'm sure you know, is very important, and it's about recognizing. Okay, so if you see the colors, that green that you can see in these images, straight away might remind you of Starbucks. Yeah, because color has code, and certain colors are very unique. Oh, well, every color is unique because it has a code. So if you see that exact color, it will remind you of something. Subconsciously, you've taken in that information that this color represents this. And if you went through the unit of color theory, then you'll understand why they chose that color. Okay. So color is a big part of branding, and remember that as well. Consistency helps your audience feel confident that you are reliable and credible. Like if I create a type of content on one platform and a type of content on a different platform, that's fine because I understand the platforms are changing. I need to change my content type. But if I suddenly I'm not consistent with my topic because I did not define my pillars, if I'm not consistent with the way I talk, my tone, okay, because I've been trying to imitate some other influencer for all these days, I suddenly my real accent comes out as Scottish or something, like it doesn't match. It's like, hang on a minute, he was a fake all along. Be real, be yourself. It's a lot easier. Don't try to be somebody else. All right. like every single one of us is unique, and nobody on this planet can be like you because they're not you. And it's an added advantage. So sometimes we overthink. We think, oh, we have to be somebody else. No. Okay. So you don't have to be somebody. Be yourself. Um, your brand is you if you're branding yourself, and your business is the brand if you're obviously building a business, and it works the same way. If you're building a business, you want people to see it and subconsciously take in your brand. So build audience trust and enhances recognizability, supports professionalism, and creates cohesive user journey, reinforces brand messaging. So what I'm talking about here is when they come into your brand, when they've first experienced your brand, is most likely to be on a social platform, right? Not in an email, because they'd have to sign up first. They'd have to take action. So if there's no relationship, most likely it's where the crowd is, social media. If they've come through social media, your logo needs to be on social media. Your username needs to be on social media. Your colors that you're using needs to be on social media. Yeah. If they then go to another platform on social media, they discovered you on one platform, they decide to, you did a call to action to go and see your, if you want more information, go and check out our YouTube channel. Yeah. Now they go to YouTube, but they see you haven't uploaded your logo. There's no logo there. Or your description's not there, or the hashtag's not there, or your color's different. Something's wrong. Yeah. It's not looking professional. Like, this guy probably started this, like, he didn't take his branding seriously. How can he teach me about social media? Yeah. Like, if I say to you, my brand is neuroblockchain, and then you go on an investigative journey on the internet about neuroblockchain, and you see my YouTube channel's missing the logo, and this is different, that handle's different, it doesn't look professional. But I can tell you that if you go to neuroblockchain on any platform, I've got it. That's why I chose that. I made sure that I got that brand name before I even started building that. You need to be consistent with your brand name, your colors, your messaging, your thought process, everything. Okay, Marina.
Just a quick one.
Yeah, please.
Are you saying that we should put our logos on every reel and every post that we
No,
make?
that's what I'm not. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, cool.
No. I'm saying where you put your logo where the logo goes in that platform. Okay.
Okay.
There's a place for the logo. One thing that I do is when I create YouTube videos or TikTok, not TikTok, but YouTube videos like tutorials, because they're valuable and people can download them or use them as their own.
Yeah, then you will
Especially the
stick
ones,
it on, yeah.
yeah, especially when I don't have my face on camera, they can even change the voice or strip it the voice and I put my logo on the top right corner of the video. In that way, it's like a watermark, so you can do that. Right. So carrying on, what makes up a brand identity? It's all of the things I was just talking about. It's your logo, it's your color, it's your typography, your imagery, your tone of voice, your graphics. All of that makes up your brand identity, and that should be in your brand guidelines. Okay, something that you've already started working on, hopefully. Robert, you okay?
Quick question with regards to your brands and everything. What happens with regards to reaction videos, the things you put out on YouTube?
What happens to what? Sorry?
With regards to reaction videos.
Reaction videos.
Yes. So,
What do you mean?
let's say Girl Gone London puts something out, and then someone else decides to do a reaction video of their video on the differences in living in London as opposed to wherever it is in America she's from.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
So
it's
you
somewhere in Florida.
have an option in the settings whether you allow that or not. Okay. So if you allow it, then other people can use your videos to react. And if you're saying you creating reaction videos, a lot of people do it and they use videos that other people have allowed reaction videos for. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with doing that if that's what you're asking. If you're asking about branding,
I'm thinking in terms of branding and the effect to the algorithm for you for someone else creating content around your material.
the algorithms are not going to serve you. It'll be serving them because they're using your video. if they get exposure, you're also getting exposure. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
The algorithms
Sort of.
are not
Yeah.
the algorithms are not going to reward you unless they're basically referencing you. Like if they put your
Mhm.
like your Twitter handle or whatever they've used in the actual description and said, I'm talking about this, or they mentioned you, they're going to
Yeah.
at and mention. If they've done that, then obviously that's respectful and that is also encouraged. You have kind of a code of law between influencers and all that. If they've done that, then great. That's going to get you more attention. People are going to come to your content via that link as well. If they haven't done that, then it's a bit cheeky and it's a bit rude, and the algorithms won't know it's your content. Okay, but depends. If
Okay.
they've downloaded your video and uploaded it, then it won't know. But if you've allowed the reaction, like somebody else using it, and they've used it directly from there, then it will reward. Does that make sense? If that other
Yep, I think
person's
so.
allowed it
Yeah.
on the same platform and they've used it, it knows that you've used it and they've allowed it, you're working within the system, then you'll get rewarded. Like if they've used your content.
Yeah.
But if they've downloaded your video and uploaded it and they're talking about it, then it's not going to see it as the same kind of thing. It just see it as somebody else's content. So it depends how they've done it. But most people, like for me, I've turned it on. I've left it. If people use my videos, fine. I mean, what they're gonna do? There's nothing they can do that's gonna harm my brand. If they go in the illegal way, like do something, then I can take that further. It's not something I fear, but it's exposure. It's getting somebody else to market for you. As long as your content isn't something that can't be shared, like it's very exclusive, then you know. Okay, so let's carry on. Let's see, where are we? Because we're at 3 o'clock now, so let's see. We don't have too much to finish off. Just bear with me. Let me just see how many slides we've got. Okay, I'm gonna have to go pretty fast. Got quite a few slides. If you give me 10 minutes, guys, I'll just carry on. Right, so we talked about McDonald's and all this. So basically, you can check out their website. It's basically here we're talking about how branding applies to websites and blogs and how different companies are consistent with their imagery across different platforms. And you can see here, even if you go to a McDonald's website, you see the brand and it's clear and it's representing their whole identity. That's what it's saying here. The next one is applying it to email. Again, you can brand in your email. So it doesn't have to be just plain text. You can have branded templates within some platforms like HubSpot has branded templates within their email section. Aweber has branded templates. So you can add the logo, the colors, you can change all that, have it clearly laid out and CTAs in there as well. The consistency is very important across all the brands, all the platforms, sorry, which I've drilled into you many times. So maintain that same personality, adjust the energy level, not the identity. So high energy on TikTok, maybe a bit lower on a different platform, LinkedIn, but your identity doesn't change, your energy changes. So, just think about it. Look at the type of content. I've realized that through my videos on TikTok. My first few videos weren't that energetic, but the ones that I had a bit more energy in, they did a lot better. Okay, so think about that. Energy is very important. Avoid tone contradictions, which means basically, your brand, you want to make it feel human, right? So even if you change the delivery style of the platform, the underlying personality needs to be the same. Okay, so that's important. So ensure the message is aligned on different platforms. Color, we talked about color, and we're going to talk about color in another session. But your brand color needs to be consistent across the platforms. Your text, the typography, something that we often overlook, needs to be consistent. It does help with your branding. So choose your font, and in the brand guidelines, have that font in there and use the same font across different platforms. Again, you can change slightly. For example, when you're writing a blog, you might have to go more kind of Arial font or something to make it more accessible for website as well. Think about accessibility when you're thinking about typography as well. Logo usage as well. Make sure that your logo is consistent. Don't have different logos for different platforms. Don't make sense. Graphic style as well, the type of graphics you're using. Like if you're using certain graphics, it could be like sketch type, then use sketch type on every not every platform. It doesn't have to be the same. Graphic style can be a bit different on different platform. You can adjust that, but you'll know how to adjust it when you look at other influencers and other creators as well. Um, like for example, you might use emojis and stuff on Instagram, but you're not going to use it on LinkedIn. So it's just that kind of thing. And then you might use a subscribe button on a graphic on YouTube, but you may not use it on a Facebook one. So this task was basically review 3 or 4 mixed platform contents and look at their brand strength, consistencies, and improvements. So what I suggest you do is, in your own time, when you have some free time, go on social media, go on these different platforms, check out some blogs, and try to understand. Like if you go on a blog for Nike, like you go to the Nike website, scroll down at the bottom, you'll see all the social links, yeah, or at the top or wherever it's placed it. Go to every single social platform and think about branding, think about the messaging, think about the style. Then go to another company, do the same on that company's, and then another one until you get it. Okay, because you don't have to do too many before you understand what the pattern is. All right. So that's my opinion. That if you do that, you'll understand how it works. But don't go for like unknown brands because they may not know what to do. Go for brands that are well known, who have a marketing team, most likely. Okay, like Starbucks, big ones like, I don't know, think about the BBC. Even they would have socials, right? Their branding would be consistent. NHS branding would be consistent. Check out those companies and see if it changes on TikTok. Like BBC has TikTok, but do they change the style of news delivery on TikTok? Okay, so think about it. Charlotte, you okay?
Yeah, I got a bit of a question. It's not undermining what you've just said because, I agree and I like that.
Mm,
I just find that the organisation that I work for has got quite a colourful community in that there's lots of different tastes and styles. And we
mm,
rely on a lot of collaborations with influencers or just people that are doing really well in the community. And so I
mm,
struggle without getting OCD and panicky about it, telling them how that's the wrong format and that's the wrong colouring and stuff. So I
mm.
leave it a bit open like that. Is that still okay when you've got such a varied community like that?
Again, without knowing what your topic is and all the details, it's hard to say. But if you got a certain style of content being created, you have to decide on what platforms it's suitable for, and then you have to repurpose it as well. Like you can take a video that is, suitable for TikTok and take the text out of it and create a blog article about it. You may have to add a bit, but you can make it suitable. So you have to do a little
Yeah.
bit of adjustment. Um,
I think what I mean is like a community member will use our product and then they'll send a collaboration request and I think, oh, that's really clever what they've done there.
mm.
And it's not necessarily in keeping with what I would like branding
Yeah,
to have been, but it works and it gets a lot of reactions and
yeah. Okay, book a one-to-one with me and we'll talk about it. I
yeah, I
need to
think
let my.
so. Thank you.
That's fine. Just bear with me a second, guys, because I just need to let my son in. He's the bell's going off. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, okay. So carrying on, we've got content, the channels, branding all needs to come together. It needs to work together. So it all needs to kind of flow. Okay. So the structure is basically having an objective, knowing your audience, the persona, having a core message, understanding the themes, the pillars, and the platform selection, and then the branding requirements and the CTA, the call to action. So we talked about choosing the platform, and it's about understanding which platform is where your audience is, where they're most active, and aligning your content with that. Okay, so factoring resources, time, and balance social and websites and everything with that. So the questions that this unit relates to is Unit 4, Question 3, which is develop content marketing ideas for use in the campaign. So you've already kind of worked on some ideas, which is going to help you. Okay.